Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Saturday, the 29th of November. Entering the festive period, aren't we? What do they call it? Goodwill to all men. But there ain't really too much of that to go around for the Reds, and Arne Slot in particular at the moment is there. It's pretty dark. And after a dismal week, with defeat at home to Forest, defeat at home to PSV, London calls this weekend, which it was a banging tune by The Clash, but you've got a pretty strong feeling what's going to happen in this one. Yeesh. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from moody Edinburgh, if you know what I mean. It's kind of clear, but the wind's howling outside and is making 2 degrees feel like minus 20, one of those. Fingers crossed, wherever you are in the world, it is a little bit better. Well, let's get into it on Daily Red. What are the latest things going around Liverpool related? What are the latest key updates? Well, you might not want to do this, but you've got to start having a bit of a look at the league table. And how painful is this? You could be uber optimistic and say, well, actually, even though the Reds are in 12th with 18 points and, oh my God, a goal difference of -2, they are only actually 3 points off Aston Villa. That would be the uber optimism. And 12th place Liverpool play 17th place West Ham. So you could be optimistic, although Green says saying I think it'll be 3-1 to West Ham. And that is where we go to. There's some interesting Premier League fixtures. There's no half 12 today. There's a few decent ones on the telly, Everton, Newcastle. But it's tomorrow where the Reds feature, isn't it? That 2:05 kickoff at the Olympic Stadium. People are optimistic, and fair shout to that. Chris in the chat panel there saying, I think Liverpool smashed them. It's going to happen at some point. And fair play, and don't get me wrong, as I say this, I am desperate for that to be correct, but I just can't see it. You look at the 2 home games, because we've been abject away anyway, but the 2 home games we've had recently, where essentially we damned tools largely against Forest and West Ham, we were abysmal. Yeah, in terms of the press, the build-up, creating chances. I have no interest in what the XG says or people want it to do that. You know what you see with your eyes at times. West Ham will be licking their lips at this one. And that probably says it all. But we'll do a bit more of a run through naturally tomorrow, which will be ahead of the game. Now, players have been coming out yesterday afternoon, and some are, fair enough. Some are like, you're trying not to roll your eyes out a little bit. The only thing that is a bit strange, Jamie Carragher's obsession with seeming to get Mo Salah in front of a camera, that is just a little bit odd, isn't it? But a few were active on social media. The skipper was, of course, and I'm sure you can read his words if you want. But the 2 that I really wanted to pick out for you, the first one, who we should be listening to, Dominic Szoboszlai, as he tweeted there, these are tough moments, but we are winners and we will rise as one. You'll take it all day from him, won't you? You'll listen to what he's got to say. Future Liverpool captain, Dominic Szoboszlai, who this season has been the only one with any real credit or been near his level. In fact, because when everyone's been so far off their normal level, Szoboszlai's probably gone up a level even from last season. I mean, Christ at times is being asked to be the 6, the box-to-box 8, be the 10 with the press, right back. What a season he's having. He's just being let down by a lot of other people. So you'll take it from him. In terms of one that, and you'll have your opinions on this, but I'm just going to be honest, I roll my eyes at Ibrahima Konate, Ibu, when he puts a statement out on social media saying we have to take this on the chest. Criticism's part of football. The ones who stand with us in the good times and the bad, the ones who sing for us in even more difficult moments. We know we need to improve and we'll keep fighting for you. I never want to be too derogatory about any Liverpool player, but I mean, Ibu's been abysmal this season, hasn't he? And in his defence or mitigation, not been helped by a midfield which has offered no protection. The right back situation, if you want to call it that, changing personnel all the time. So there is real mitigation for Ibu there, but he's been horrendous recently. And the mistake against PSV, it was Sunday league level, wasn't it? We also know the contract situation, which we'll talk about shortly. So all those types of things. Do I really care what Ibu tweets on social media right now? Not personally, not one little bit. And also, again, subject to, I can't believe I'm saying this, but injections in the knee and all other bits. I think I want to see Joe Gomez at centre-back for this one. Genuinely, I do. I don't see how you can keep Ibu in the team based on what he's showing at the moment. I mean, it tells you all, this was probably the biggest story of yesterday, wasn't it? When Video Konate, Sky Sports mentioned it, Liverpool remain committed to agreeing a new deal for Konate. They want to stay within their wage structure. They're still looking at potential replacements, but it was more David Ornstein, wasn't it? Coming out with his Real Madrid. I mean, Florentino Perez has a kink for players on a free. That's what he does. And Real Madrid are watching Ibu at the moment on a free and saying, nah, we'll leave it. Tells its own story. And this apparent contract offer is remaining on the table. I mean, how committed is Ibu to Liverpool right now? I think you know the answer to that question. Genuinely, I want to see him dropped for tomorrow. So yeah, players are coming out with statements. Some we'll listen to, some moving on. So moving on to Slot's embargo comments. And he had a lot to say in the press conference. I think we can almost overanalyze a little bit what he's saying at the moment. But there are some things in the embargo it's definitely worth having a look at. So a couple of comments I'll just bring into the fore there. Because he was talking about how it's almost impossible to do changes. So he's asked about, whether he needs to shake up his starting lineup. And this is what he'd said. Is the question, should I change dramatically? If, for example, you want another system with 5 defenders, that could be an issue. I don't even have 5 defenders. It suits the players best, the system we are playing now. They have played the system probably throughout their whole career, and there's hardly any training for us. So it's almost impossible to change our complete idea about football if we play every 2 days. I struggle with that a little bit because I know most of the players have the day off yesterday, and I know some see a match day -2 as standard practice, but just with how it's going at the moment, and we're being told these players, care more than anything, they're going to fight harder. Those are their words of Robbo, Virgil, and everyone. Why weren't they in yesterday, as a team looking at, even though it's video footage, a small set, really sort of drilling down on things a little bit. And in terms of changing the system, of course, there's not enough defenders, I think, right now to go 3-5-2, even if it is any long-term aim, as some people have suggested. I don't know. But change the personnel. How can you let Ibu keep playing? Cody Gakpo, honestly, shitting out at 50-50s, doing nothing, missing another point-blank header. How is he playing week on week? I adore Mo Salah. He's my, my icon, my favourite player. But there is a question mark around him. So change a few things at least. Send a warning shot across the bow of some a little bit. So I struggle with that. He was also asked about, the run of form, of course. And he actually compared it to City and Pep Guardiola last season. He said, I said already multiple reasons that I can come up with an extra 5 or 6 for why we're on a run of form like this, but they will never be enough to make up for the results that we have. I am not sure, but Pep will have probably had the same. For example, we had injuries last season as well. So it's not like this season we have injuries and last season we didn't. So that helped us with a better run of form. The best chance to come out of a situation like this is that we as a team and me as a manager bring the best out of these players again to bring us back to winning ways. If we didn't have the quality, we would have a big problem. I think we have the quality and we have to bring the best out of them again. Again, yeah, that's true. It is his job. For how much longer is another discussion. But in terms of comparing it to to City and Pep that last year, I mean, Rodri was injured, wasn't he? De Bruyne's legs were gone. You knew what City needed, realistically. With us, there aren't really those excuses, are there? And you're right, his job is to get, that quality firing. And it's ultimately not. And then the final comments, which I'm really struggle with this one personally. He's asked if it was the lowest point in his managerial career. And he said, I've already thought that a few times that we hit the worst point or the lowest point. Because many times I've said, and actually I still feel this about Wednesday as well, that the score does not reflect the way we played. So every time you are thinking we can keep playing the same, but hopefully do better, because this team should and can play better than we do. No mistake about that. It's not that we perform at the highest standards we can perform at, but you should expect that given the quality we have, that we've reached the lowest point a few times. You should do that bit. I agree with. We should have already, come round or seen some things. It's that bit. The score does not reflect the way we played. I mean, the first half was decent. Let's not rewrite history against PSV. The first 10 minutes were abysmal, of course, but when we equalised, we were on top and, we look easily the most likely to nick a second. But that doesn't reflect the way we play. The second half was a disgrace. Literally a disgrace. You lost the second half 3-0 at home to PSV with the greatest of respect. You had for their second goal a player that goes past Salah and just travels 30, 40 yards unchallenged before playing in a teammate. You saw how bad we were second half. So the scoreline doesn't reflect the way we played. Yeah, it does. They deserve to lose by that type of scoreline against PSV. That's why we're talking the way we are. Similar to Nottingham Forest. It was that bad. It's almost when the goal goes in, that's it. Lights out for most of them. And you're in charge on that. And I see people saying about, scored so many on target. No, let's not try and change history. We were abysmal second half. Yeah, it does reflect the way we played. Liverpool didn't deserve anything from these two games. So those were Arne Slot's embargo comments. In terms of latest stories around Anfield Index and what's going on, few January links it's important to mention there. So if I look on the screen, I've got Liverpool transfer target available for just 40 million euros, around 32, 33 million in 2026. Journalist expects Liverpool to sign world-class centre-back. Picture of Mark Gay there. 2 Liverpool stars expected to return for West Ham mentioned. Jan Molby as well, being honest and talking about Arne Slot not commanding the same fear as Jurgen Klopp. Now, the 2 stars, just in case you missed the updates from Arne Slot in this presser, that Alisson is expected back and Florian Wirtz should be training with the team today. So a little bit of a boost there. It's important to say. It'd be great to see if Florian Wirtz is back and available there as well, wouldn't it? So that's a little bit of a positive. And in terms of this one, that one that had the picture of Mark Gay, did have Lewis Steele, shout out to him, Lewis Xavier Steele there yesterday on Media Matters, talking about Mark Gay and whilst, it was pretty much done until it wasn't at the end of the last window, that actually, as Lewis said, wouldn't be surprised if there is some sort of arrangement, gentleman's agreement there for Mark Gay to Liverpool. However, this is really important to say. There's a lot of links coming up with Mark Gay, isn't there, at the moment? And 2 other teams. Matteo Moretto there had that Atletico Madrid are interested. And also there was a lot of strong links from the Madrid side as well, wasn't there, yesterday? And I think you do have that little bit of wonder. Are Real Madrid just going to pull our pants down again, essentially? And is it going to be a case where just some world where Konate re-signs his contract and Gay ends up at Real Madrid? Now, I'm not saying Mark Gay is obviously prime Maldini, which is a fair analogy that Lewis Steele used yesterday, the way people have sort of magnified his ability. But at this moment in time, Madrid would be getting the better deal, which is weird because I think at their peak, Ibu's ceiling is higher than Gay's by far, personally, but the floor of Ibu it's a basement, isn't it, compared to Gay's right now. So yeah, again, nothing's going to happen, you fancy, in January with this one, but you're going to have to keep an eye on it. In terms of other stories, and we mentioned the great Dane there, Jan Molby, obviously doing his show with Trev as ever. He was quite honest and forthright that there should be the two men on the screen, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards. You know, people pointing fingers or casting eyes to them, as was mentioned on this one. So I think, as Jan says in this bit, and where's the line? I wanted to find it about it. People talk about all the players we signed, too many. And I go, yeah, but how can we put ourselves in a position where we need to sign so many players? That, for me, is bad planning. And then he also talks about Jarell Quansah. Why did we sell the most promising centre-half we had? Is that because the money was good, 35 million euros? Why in the end did we sell his deal so we would get, let's say, 30 million euros more than we would have done 12 months down the line when we needed him? I think he's right that the microscope is on, because it's a collective at Liverpool, isn't it? The microscope should be on Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards. But I know what's being said there about how we've got to this point. I think, unfortunately, that was just a little bit of what they inherited, a massive contract mess. So that's got to factor into it. What you can point the finger on a little bit, and there's still time, and I think it's right for me personally, the biggest finger goes at Arne Slot. But the recruitment's not looking too great. There's only one real semi-success in Hugo Ekitike right now. So it is right. There is a bit of a microscope on those two at the same time. I think that's fair. In terms of other actual transfer news as well, Lewis was mentioning this yesterday when we did Media Matters, was quite honest. I don't really think there's another way you can take this line at all. Did say, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Semenyo is a Liverpool player come January. And I've just seen that someone said, what was actually said, which is a fair comment. So let's actually play the little clip from Lewis. And of course, now it turns the time to shitty buffering or whatever. But essentially, as Lewis said there, it is about Semenyo and not being surprised if he would be a Liverpool player come January. Yeah, we'll leave that because that's not going to buffer properly. But well worth a watch on Media Matters. And we talked Gay, we talked all sorts of things there. So, yeah, Semenyo one. But actually, of all the stories I'm going to cover today, this isn't even close to the one that's getting me the most excited. I think a lot of us are manifesting this one a bit. And I've said it before, because people have mentioned it on transfer shows that me and Trev done. Love this player, but there's been no tangible links to him. And yet, yesterday, the first real mention in the media around Elliot Anderson. And as was reported, City is said to be aware that Liverpool and Manchester United will be interested in Elliot Anderson. Damn right it should be. Damn right. This is a player. If you said that it's never just one player I get, it's a team effort. But I think that's a signing that could really, it's not going to happen in January, by the way, people. Of course it's not. But just change things straight away. I think Elliot Anderson is absolutely perfect for us. You saw him in the game at Anfield, and let's not mince our words, he absolutely bullied our midfield. Literally. It's almost that he could play the six, he could play the double pivot. It's almost the all-round ability, isn't it, that Elliot Anderson has. And you've got to remember, he's playing for Nottingham Forest, and think of their struggles in recent times, how many managers they're going through. But you see on the eye test anyway, when you watch him, he's a class player. But even in his FBref profile, you look there, that successful take-ons, 92nd percentile, tackles, don't mind putting it about, does he? 91st percentile. Shot creating actions over 3 a game. That's for Nottingham Forest. 81st percentile for aerials, 79th for blocks. Carries it well, 73rd. 70th percentile for passes as well. It's the all-action physical nature of his game, but he sees a pass, doesn't he? There's no doubt. I think we all knew Liverpool would be well aware of Elliot Anderson's, but genuinely, I'm pleased to see this. More mainstream or more media reporting that, because that is the one I think we would all love. But we ain't going to get it in January, are we? Simple as that. In terms of what we might, and I'm saying might get in January, Liverpool transfer target available for just 40 million euros in 2026. And that photo, if you know your football, ladies and gents, is of Rennes French centre-half, young centre-half under 21, Jeremy Jacquet, who it's important to say when you look at some of these stats, and this was from the other day, this is against top 7 league under 21 centre-backs, top of interceptions, top of possession ones, second aerial duels, third for touches, passes completed, and short passes completed, as it says, will be on every big club radar. Now, we ran him for transfer market metrics, me and Bart. It must be a good few months ago from the summertime, because we said Liverpool had looked at him in the summer, but ultimately when they were looking for that young centre-half, that real talent that they've been seeking for a while when they missed out on Lenny Yoro, Dean Huijsen, that ultimately it ended up being Leone just nudging ahead of Jeremy Jacquet. And they looked at others like Ordonez, but it was Leone that they plumped for. Now, since then, obviously, it's tragic what's happened with Leone, but if you've watched, and I won't say or pretend I'm watching Liga every week or Rennes every week, but I've seen a few games of Jeremy Jacquet. He's a beast. He's an absolute physical specimen. He's quick. He can defend spaces. It's almost like, I don't know how to describe him, like an Ibu style frame, but also Jimmy Traore. He's got telescopic legs that hook round as well. But it like quick, good in the air, all those types of things. Aggressive as well. Things we're really lacking at the moment. Now, if it is doable, if the price is around 32 million quid, I'm doing this now. Genuinely, I am. I would do this right now. And if you look at Rennes, you think, okay, they're fourth in Ligue 1 and get past all that Farmers League and stuff, because you've seen him in Europe bits as well. But I think a lot of his raw attributes are exactly what we're looking for. And again, you look at his FB ref profile, 95th for interceptions, 84th for tackles. Yeah? Some of the stuff that we're not doing at the moment, as Lee puts it there, our backline is creaking. So if you get in a physical specimen like Jacquet, go for it. And also, you know how weak we are sometimes in the aerial sense. If you go down and look at his aerial duels, look at that. Going up all seasons and currently at 70%. But having watched him, what I like most is Jeremy Jacquet's ability to defend the open spaces, one-on-one quite often, aggressive, good in the air. If the prices are suggested around the 32 million mark, that is one I would do in January. And probably above Joel Ordonez for me, but because I know the club have looked at him and we mentioned that, but probably one we're running again on transfer market metrics. And then the only real thing, other stories, because naturally, I know people might be trying to steer away from certain bits. I mean, I want to almost be respectful because I always had an admiration. I thought Didi Hamann was a great signing, a great player for us in terms of his cleverness, willing fouls, the importance he played in Istanbul and all those. So you've got the fond memories. But talks absolute pish as a pundit, doesn't he? So I don't know if anyone clocked this that he came out with, but talking about Florian Wirtz's future at Liverpool, saying, could Florian Wirtz still leave Liverpool on loan in January? Yeah, it gets worse, honestly. About talking about when he loses possession, is he suited for the Premier League? And where's this line? Because honestly, I think he's got until Christmas to show his worth, which is not easy because I said the team is not functioning at the moment. I think if he doesn't do it from now until Christmas, I'm pretty sure the team will get together with him and see what will be best for both parties. It's like that Catherine Tate Nan's sketch, innit? What a load of, honest to God. I've heard some nonsense in my time, but the team's dysfunctional. Florian Wirtz has already been asked to play the 10 on the left, in the double pivot, on the right-hand side in the 4-4-2 coming in. It's the dysfunctional nature. It's Arne Slot's bad decision-making with him and not really giving him a chance on that left side, which we all want. Liverpool are not stupid. They're not giving, they know what they've got on their hands. They're just looking at how they can get the most of it that way. Yeah. Dinaman was also talking about Mo Salah somewhat. And to be fair to Diddy, there is a bit of, I'd say, relevance or a discussion to be had in this one a little bit, although I don't agree with the exact point he's making. He said, I thought Salah might be one of the first to be dropped, but I'm not sure because he needs him. Now he's got a decision to make. Do you get the sack with Salah or do you keep your job without him? What Salah did for that second PSV goal, I think Slot had one chance to take him off straight away because what he did there was disgraceful. See, I understand people who are talking about maybe Salah out the team, and we saw that against Frankfurt. I can't just dismiss that as nonsense anymore. I don't think anyone can. But that PSV goal, that is not Mo Salah's fault. You can argue shouldn't get beaten like that, but could have slipped. Anything could have happened. It's the fact that after that moment, the PSV player travels, 30, 40 yards, and not one midfielder or one defender comes out to press him at all, and he's just allowed to pick that pass where Kirkes should have been more switched on and gets beaten. It's a collective failing, but it's not Mo Salah there. They should be really having the finger pointed at him. But ex-pundits in the media, some of the valued, like Jan Molby, some of them, let's just maybe remember what they did in the shirt rather than what they're saying, eh? But here we are, ladies and gents. It's one of those this weekend. I honestly understand right now if people were trying to steer away from football. I'd honestly understand right now, a little bit like me, I'll say this completely honestly, I thought he should have gone. I thought this should already have been done. There is a large part of me just wonders if this has been prolonged, and I have little to no doubt that Liverpool are looking or speaking to options or alternatives as we go. Yeah? And maybe the saddest thing I can say right now is West Ham are favourites, and most of us realistically expect them to win. We're not expecting anything from going to the capital this weekend. I think that almost represents just how desperate things are. And when there's that apathy and expectation, when your press is completely off, when you can't build up from the back, when players are being moved position every 5 minutes, it's hard to really argue in favour of a manager staying on, isn't it? We will see what Sunday brings, people. We'll see what today brings in the results as well. Enjoy your weekends anyway. But on Saturday, the 29th of November, that was a daily read for Anfield Index.